are going to catch up with the head coach of the LSU Fighting Tigers, boots on the ground there in Omaha. Coach, we truly always appreciate your time, but certainly while you're trying to get ready for the College World Series. And so thanks for hopping on. And how was traveling yesterday? How's it been so far?
It's always the best travel day of the year, that's for sure. Got here and got over to the stadium and took that in for a minute, and then went right to practice. So kind of back to business as usual, and looking forward to a good day today.
So, Coach, you have had players that have been there before, and they've been in that moment. But what was it like for the players, like you watching them walk into that stadium for the first time? Because that's one of the great things about college baseball is everybody knows where the championship is going to be played. And so you know that it's in the back of your mind and you can visualize yourself there. It's not like football and basketball where it rotates, to different cities, different venues. What was it like for you to kind of see those guys for the first time that hadn't been there before?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And there's 8 players, that were on that team in 2023, and everybody else, it's their first time. And, they've worked hard. And I said this a few times last week, like this team deserved to be here whether we won 2 games or not last weekend. And so for me, if there was any kind of pressure, that was it. I felt like this team earned their way to Omaha by how they did everything, on a daily basis through the fall, winter, early spring, and then obviously the season. So it was pretty awesome, to stand on the dugout step, watch them walk out there and walk a lap around the field on a warning track, take pictures, and and then also we talked about, take it in and see yourself here because this is where it's on, and it's back to baseball on Saturday.
And we all know how it's going to go down on Saturday. You got the primetime game against a team that you know very well. And, Coach, one of the things I always am intrigued by is the way that you prepare for your opponent. I really like you take like a football coach approach, like you're always watching tape, like nothing is going to be, not looked at and not evaluated in your process getting ready for your game plan there. And you know this team incredibly well. Like you just played this Arkansas team a month ago. So when you're preparing for this game, you have that to lean on. But like, is there like a fine line of, okay, let's don't lean on that experience too much, even though it was just 4 weeks ago, like let's also make sure that we're watching the regional, the super regional, and taking that information just as much as we take our series against them?
Yeah, for sure. And I kind of have a rule when you play a team a second time or play them in the postseason is like start over and do it like you haven't played them before. And, young people change a lot today, let alone 4 weeks ago. And then the other factor is those games were played at our stadium, and that's a different animal. And I know that. Obviously, because the support we get. The other part is when we go on the road, things are much tougher. Like that's just the reality of it. So, there's some things that I did go back and watch that series, at least from our pitchings that are hitting, to look at some things. But really, really focused on their last 4 games that they've played.
Yeah, Coach, and we've talked about kind of the, what the pitching matchups probably are going to look like. And when you're a hitter and you're going back, and let's say that it is, Zach Reed's going to be on the mound for Arkansas, how do you study film as a hitter? Like, I'm always curious like that. Like, okay, well, he got me out with that pitch last time, and like in my mind, he's going to go back to that pitch, but maybe he's going to think that I'm thinking that, and he's going to throw a different pitch. Like the mind games of being in the batter's box against a pitcher like that, a very talented pitcher. Like, how do you tell your guys to maybe look at film when they're watching that of a guy that they've faced before who is a really talented pitcher?
Yeah, I think familiarity is good on that side.
Yeah.
I mean, because when something comes out of his hand, maybe you recognize it a little bit sooner. And that's where the advantage lies. I mean, as far as sitting on pitches and guessing, if you start guessing against a guy of Zach Root or Kate Anderson's caliber, you're going to have a hard time. Like, you're going to end up with 25. You're going to end up in, like, the worst blackjack odds casino in Vegas or something like that. So it's just about seeing the ball, eliminating pitches, getting your pitch to hit, taking balls, battling with 2 strikes, make it hard on him. And it's a tough place to score runs too. Like that's another element of this game that's very intriguing with 2 really good pitchers going. So I think the other focus is we got to be ready to win a close game.
Well, I mean, speaking of a close game, I think there's obviously some pitchers that all season long you've brought in those situations to close out a game. But if we go back a week, you didn't have to use those pitchers. Zach Cowan, Kason Evans. Like, Coach, if I would have told you you would have swept the series in a super regional and neither one of those guys has to toe the rubber, I mean, I would assume you would be pretty surprised.
Surprised, happy, and for, maybe that meant that the scores were, kind of what they where you had a little breathing room. The other thing, too, is that's an interesting deal to manage because you have to protect yourself of a third game as well. Now, we had a real plan with how we were going to use those guys in game 2. And Cooper Williams came in and did a great job to help us, really, really close the gap between Anthony and the end of the game. And, I mean, Chase was throwing like 120 miles an hour, and, like, they weren't seeing it. So we kind of rode that out. So,
Coach, I mean, Chase Shores, like electric city when he came in. Like, you could feel it in the stadium. Like, I always say this, like, if you could bottle up that energy and sell it, you can name your price on it. It was, I mean, it was incredible, and you could feel it throughout the stadium. And I mean, he's already a large human. He looked like he was 8 foot tall out there on the mound. And I was joking yesterday, like in youth baseball, trying to get him to throw strikes, like, hey, fingers in the mitt, fingers in the mitt. I'm like, I think he actually could put his fingers in the mitt. I mean, he looks so intimidating out there. And that's a player that you and I have talked about, right? He's coming back from a major injury. And so a lot of times it's like we got the meathead mindset of, okay, he's back, so he needs to be where he was before he got injured. It's just not that easy, right? And that's just a player we can see each and every time he goes out there, gaining more confidence, more belief that, his arm is where it's supposed to be, Coach, because, I mean, he came in and the confidence that he had, it was incredible.
Yeah, one thing we talk a lot about is with the players is use your experience well. And he had a tough outing in the regional. And, he used that well. Like, I could tell all week he was locked in and ready to go. And, there was one way, that performance was going to go whenever I gave him the ball, whether it was earlier in the game or at the end of the game like that. And, like I said, I kind of had a plan laid out of how we were going to use those other guys you mentioned. And then it was like, let's let big man finish this out. And I'm happy for him and proud of him because he's a big part of this. Like, that's one of the first big recruits that we got when I got the job here. And, he's persevered through that injury. He was a great team guy, even though he was hurt when we won the national championship. He worked hard in his rehab. He cares about succeeding for the team a lot. And that was a great way for that super regional to finish up with him on the mound.
Catching up with LSU head baseball coach Jay Johnson here on OTB. Coach, one of the things about Omaha is you don't know how long you're going to be there, and you know how it goes because y'all went all the way. Obviously, just a couple of years ago, you won the whole thing. You played the maximum amount of games. As a coach, though, when you don't know that situation, how do you make sure that your team and everybody around the team stays in the moment and doesn't worry about how long you're going to be there or start to look ahead to what possibly could happen?
Well, I think it's kind of how we train them on a yearly basis, if you will. Like, this pitch, this game's the Game 7 of the World Series or part of the 56-game playoff, and the quality of the teams here catch your attention. And so I don't think that's really necessarily a thing, and that's certainly the case with the first game. And really excited about that. But every team here is a championship team, so. And then, I always steal, like, things wherever I can. And, that movie Hoosiers, where Gene Hackman, he's talking about tournament play. Like, you can't talk about the next step till you've climbed the one in front of you.
Right.
Like, all those things are really real. We've talked a lot about, like, hey, man, there's a lot of cool things that come along with being here. And I want you to enjoy those and then have the maturity and self-discipline to switch the mindset, when it's time to prepare and it's time to execute. And I have full trust in our team to be able to do that.
Can't wait to watch it, Coach. I mean, it is going to be in prime time. It's going to be against teams that know each other. It's going to be teams from the best conference in college baseball, and it's got star power all over the place. And it is going to be an electric environment, as you well know. So, Coach, we can't thank you enough. I mean, all season long, but certainly in Omaha, getting ready for a national championship run. Thanks for hopping on with us.
All right. Have a great day.